we are going to look at the 8 essential steps in developing an effective ICT strategy. So what are some of these particular steps that are very essential for you to come up with an effective ICT strategy? Kindly remember that you can always visit our website as shown. Just go to learnerscoach.co.ke so that you can be able to get more information on our topic of discussion. That is the 8 steps of developing an effective ICT strategy. Now, in our previous discussion, we actually look at some or understanding what strategy is, what are some of the models that you can use to have a good strategy. So check within the description to get more details of how we actually formulated some frameworks that can guide you on how to come up with a good ICT strategy. So what we said about ICT strategy or IT strategy is that this is an approach to create an information technology with some capability to sustain value on an organization, right? So if you want to implement a good strategy, you must have some kind of ICT or a particular IT strategy plan which is going to give you some guidance. So let's first of all maybe understand why we need to develop an ICT strategy. Of course, number one is to provide a unifying approach to processing and sharing information across the company, so you can increase efficiency and effectiveness. You can also be in a position to minimize duplication, improve work or collaboration, and also minimize errors. Reason as to why also you need to have a good ICT strategy, or why you need to develop ICT strategy, is to facilitate data collection, process them, govern, and also have some kind of analytical options. So many new technologies such as artificial intelligence, use of big data analytics, business intelligence require a large amount of reliable data to produce accurate insights. So that's another reason why we need to have an ICT strategy. And of course, it allows for a holistic and comprehensive approach to cyber security and gap analysis, so you can effectively protect a customer and employee data, right? It also helps improve IT resilience that will minimize the high cost associated with extended downtime. Maybe the other reason is that it allows your IT department to take a proactive role in resource allocation and project planning, so decisions can be made to prioritize long-term benefits. Ladies and gentlemen, you can always check on the description so that you visit this particular website for more information. So the first step towards developing an effective ICT strategy is to align the ICT strategy itself with the business objectives, right? As you had mentioned, an effective ICT strategy should address the overall business goals and needs, right? So it's very important to understand the objectives of each and every business function, be it within the sales, marketing, and so on. Having noted that, also you need to proceed to the second essential step, gather information from the key stakeholders. It's very, very important. So in order to design a forward-thinking enterprise architecture ICT strategy that addresses not only the various technological requirements but also the organizational future growth, this is very key. You need to understand and analyze key technology trends in the industry. Now, the people are going to facilitate or ensure that you can always implement this kind of ICT strategy is actually the key stakeholders. So bringing them on board is very, very important. You can conduct some interviews with them, do some surveys, and so on. The other step or critical step in coming up with an ICT strategy is actually defining the IT requirements and the scope, right? So you need to have the requirements and time span of your ICT strategy and make sure that it addresses the objectives of each business unit and the entire organization, right? Now, at this point, a comprehensive evaluation may be necessary if the enterprise is embarking on a significant transformation, right? The fourth option, or the fourth step towards developing an ICT strategy, is analyze current capabilities and infrastructure. Yeah. So once you have defined the various ICT requirements, you need to take inventory of the available infrastructure, such as the hardware and softwares, yeah, so that you can identify any gap with in the current capability and see how you can best achieve your objectives with as few disruption and most cost-effective way. Yeah. Of course, when you're doing this, you don't need to forget the human factor. Yeah. You need to understand the challenges that they're currently facing. The other step is actually defining the overall architecture. Yeah. Now that you have understood the how to maybe capture the various stakeholder requirements, yeah, it's now time to figure out how to get thereby mapping out the IT architecture, which includes software, hardware, other tools and resources you need, right? And of course, the other very essential step is to define the key performance measures or indicators. Yeah. So depending on the nature and focus of each component, there will be different key metrics. Yeah, you need to identify the key metrics such as the measurement of agility, project delivery time. Yeah. Now, defining key parameter indicators is performance indicator is very essential, because they say what gets measured gets done. Yeah, so you must make sure that your ICT strategy is taking your business where it needs to go. And of course, you need to obtain some kind of buy-in budget approval, and that's why it's very, very important to bring on board the stakeholders at a very early stage. Yeah. So prepare a data-driven projection of the return on investment of the initiatives to get a senior executive or management on board, right? So the last part, so that you can actually develop an effective ICT strategy, is to identify the right resources. Talking about the human resource, hardware resource, right, and even the software resources. Yeah. So, and of course, the time itself is a good resource. So you have to factor in those kind of resources. So those are the 8 steps, or the 8 essential things that you need to do in order to come up with an effective ICT strategy. So remember to click within the description so that you can come to this particular website and read more about these essential strategies. All right, thanks.